Massive bicep development is not accomplished by performing a massive amount of exercises. In fact, it really comes down to just 3. And if you want to build bigger biceps, your training should include one variation of each of these 3 exercises. Of course, you can do more than that, but understand that you might be doing multiple variations of the same exercise. And if you want complete development, you should make sure to cover all 3 of these first. The first exercise is a heavy loading movement. Just like every other body part, the biceps adapt through progressive overload. A basic curl variation, like a barbell curl, dumbbell curl, or even a cable curl, can easily be loaded heavily and progressively over time. A strict barbell curl is a movement that I progressed with since day 1 of training, using just a 45-pound barbell to start and worked my way up to 150 pounds for strict reps. That progression has driven a large amount of my bicep growth over the years. Similarly, starting out with 15 to 20 pound dumbbells and working my way all the way up to the 65s and 75 pound dumbbells. But now with arms, progressive overload is a bit less cut and dry, as adding, let's say, 25 pounds to your bench or 50 pounds to your squat. On those movements, your goal is to keep form identical as you add weight. But on isolation exercises and movements like dumbbells, where the weights actually get larger, forcing you to adjust your form and technique over time with the heavier weights, your goal isn't simply to just keep moving more weight from point A to point B, but to strategically make the call as you progress and ask yourself, is the increased weight here more beneficial to the target muscle? If your technique is on point, the answer is yes. But if now you're moving more weight, but at the expense of technique, the biceps might actually be getting less stimulation. And progressive overload and isolation movements is a constant process of picking and choosing the appropriate weight jumps over time. The second exercise is not as much about progressive overload as it is all about the pump. Internet experts will say the pump doesn't matter, but that's generally the result of looking at the pump in isolation. So that's fine if the pump doesn't build muscle on its own. But in my opinion, the real benefits of the pump that cannot be argued with come from how the pump affects everything else you do in the gym after you've achieved it. Try any exercise that you don't traditionally feel a great contraction with after you've gotten a massive pump. And now, tell me you didn't get much more out of the movement than you would have previously without a pump. And no matter how many times people try to discredit pump training, bodybuilders with massive arms will keep doing what they've always done and focusing on a movement where resistance is highest at the top. This will force you to squeeze the target muscle in the contracted position, generating a ton of blood and a better mind-muscle connection, making the rest of the sets you perform that day even more effective. A spider curl or a machine preacher curl here is an awesome movement for this. But even leaning forward slightly on any curl or adjusting the angle of your movements so that you're forced to squeeze hard at the top will all greatly increase the pump on any set of curls. And third, for full development of the biceps, you want to focus on a movement that does the opposite and fully stretches the biceps at the bottom of the movement. This can be done with incline dumbbell curls or cable curls facing away from the machine. As the weight and the dumbbells are pulled back and away from the body, the biceps fully stretch, allowing you to take advantage of all the benefits of loaded stretching on the muscle. If you're already including a heavy progressive movement like traditional standing barbell or dumbbell curls, you don't have to treat this movement like a heavy progressive loading exercise, but rather you want to eke out that last bit of progress that you can make by ensuring you're focusing on the stretch component of hypertrophy. If you're doing these 3 exercises in your training, you're taking advantage of all the training variables for growth, and you can combine these into one single bicep training session if that's how your training is set up, or if you're training arms multiple times a week like I do, you can spread these out and also include multiple variations of each of these exercises. And in addition, if you want to incorporate direct work to the brachialis and give more attention to the forearms, hammer curls are a great option here to make sure that you're not neglecting any area of the arms. Apply these tips to your training now if your goal is massive biceps. And if you want the exact programs that I personally recommend to build muscle using proven old school bodybuilding methods, check out all my old school mass gain programs down below. And as always, if you guys want to see more of the best original bodybuilding content just like this, make sure to hit subscribe.